All right, everyone, this is Tim of the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. I've been seeing some articles about a linebacker whose name we shall not speak. And, of course, it is the linebacker from Penn State. We will call him Bob. Bob, the linebacker from Penn State, because we shall not speak his name, just in case we don't want to jinx anything in reference to the NFL draft if he happens to fall to us. But there's two things that bug me about Bob. Problem number one is people in the Giant organization seem to be concerned that, and there was an article about this, that he may potentially be another Odell Beckham, and he comes off like Odell Beckham. Okay, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with coming off like Odell Beckham? Yeah, Odell Beckham, he was a knucklehead at times, but honestly, he never really did anything like T.O., Terrell Owens. You know, he's not Antonio Brown. He's just a knucklehead. And you know what? Sometimes when knuckleheads have immense talent, you overlook the knuckleheadedness. Kind of like we did with Odell when he was scoring touchdowns. Now, minute he, of course, stopped scoring touchdowns, everything that he did bothered the organization and the fan base. But Bob, the linebacker from Penn State, has a multitude of talent. He's a guy that could come in and start from day one and be the type of linebacker we haven't really seen since like Jesse Armstead. It's a tough, and I understand it's a tough balancing act. There's a risk assessed to every reward, especially when a guy is projected to be even higher than 11. You know, he was suspended in high school for inciting a riot when he yelled gun when they were in a cafeteria. You know, he and other Penn State football players they were accused of hazing back in a civil suit in 2020. Now, a lot of people are saying that he has grown up since those days and he's matured now. Of course, now he is 21 years old. And these are just past mistakes, and they really shouldn't impact his future in the league, which I don't disagree with. If he has the talent to come in and has that rare blend of speed at 6'3", 246 pounds, and I know he ran a 4.39 in the 40. He's got a 34-inch vertical leap. I mean, he could be great to good at covering tight ends. He could rush the passer. I think he only had 6.5 career sacks in 2 seasons. But you know what? His potential could be on full display in New York if given the opportunity. And I don't think he's an Eric Flowers. I don't think he's an Eli Apple. And Joe Judge, of course, is building the no-nonsense high-character culture. You know what? Sometimes you need a little knuckleheadedness. You really do. Sometimes you need people that are extremely talented and motivated, but then may also potentially have, I don't see him being I don't see him being a bad kid. Yeah, is he arrogant? Sure. I want my players to be a little arrogant, a little cocky. I want that. He could be a franchise-altering pick for the Giants on the defense in the linebacking core. He really could. But you can't lump him in with Eli Apple. You can't lump him in with Eric Flowers. They were bust. You can't say you can't sit there and be worried that he's an Odell. We took Daniel Jones at 6, and he's a high character guy. Is that working out well? We have to hope though year 3 is a hell of a lot better than year 2. But it's just one of those things that, I mean, you can't just sit there and say, like I said, you can't just sit there and say, you have mixed feelings about him. You don't know if you want to do it because of the fact of this and that. I mean, yes, from the perspective of the New York Giants, it could be a red flag, but he's got talent. He's got more. He's more than has talent, and he's the kind of guy that could fit immensely into the system, and you could say he's high maintenance, but you don't even know that. Everyone's, you know what? Whoever was perfect in high school, who was perfect in college, you might as well just turn this off right now, because I never was. I was never perfect. I'm not perfect now. So if you want to sit in your glass house and throw stones, go right ahead. And like I said, there's a lot, you know, they always say where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's a lot of smoke around Bob, the linebacker from Penn State. But it's also from stuff that happened a little while ago. I know 2020 wasn't that long ago, but it's college. It's a haziness. I'm not getting into that stuff. But I don't think there's enough red flags to deter you from taking him. Now, one thing that has to stop is this comparison to Lawrence Taylor. This is the stupidest thing that I've seen repeatedly on Twitter and articles. How he could be the talents, you know, he could be LT. He's going to be a rock star like an LT. You know, okay, you know what? There is only one Lawrence Taylor. And I am probably one of the few giant YouTubers who actually have seen Lawrence Taylor play since his rookie season. So I can tell you the greatness of Lawrence Taylor. I watched him play in 81. I watched him almost at times will the Giants to the playoffs in that season. I watched him become the NFL most valuable player in 86, 3-time defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, 8-time Pro Bowler, 8-time All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler. He was a guy that changed the definition of the position of outside linebacker. When the Saints took George Rogers #1 overall in 81, it was probably a franchise-altering mistake for the Saints. Because when he was coming out of North Carolina, he was something special. And even his coaches said that he was reckless. He was reckless on the field. I mean, literally, as a freshman, there's legends that he was playing on special teams. He would jump a good 6-7 feet in the air to block a punt. I mean, that's crazy. But, you know, it was one of those things that it was just when he fell to us. And like I said, yeah, I understand George Rogers was a Heisman winner. He had a good career. He went on to win a Super Bowl with Washington. But he was never going to be Lawrence Taylor. And Lawrence Taylor was a little crazy coming out of college too. But that's fine. He had game-defining, changing talent. We don't know if Bob, the linebacker from Penn State, has that. I loved it when Khalil Mack for like 4 games was being compared to LT. You can't do that. That was the dumbest thing that I ever heard. Lawrence Taylor was the type of, and like I said, I watched him from 81 to when he retired in 93. I saw him at the pinnacle of his career. I saw him at his 20-sack season. Joe Bugle, who was the line coach of the Washington Redskins, who had the best line in the 80s, couldn't figure out a way to block him. Joe Gibbs, who was Super Bowl coach for the Washington team, they were the Redskins back then, he even told you couldn't block him with a linebacker. You couldn't block Lawrence Taylor with a running back. You couldn't block him with a tight end. You couldn't block him with a running back and a tight end. You couldn't block him with a tackle alone. So what they had to do at times is they would chip him with the running back, flare out and try to chip him again with the tight end, and then go to the tackle, or have the tackle and the tight end double team him. And it still didn't matter. There was a play against the Saints, and it was number 36 to running back, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. LT ran literally from behind and just pulled him down like he was nothing. Ask Ron Jaworski what Lawrence Taylor, who he was. Ask our old buddy Joe Theismann what he thinks Lawrence Taylor was. So we have to stop trying to fit people into the LT mold because there is never going to be another Lawrence Taylor again. Reuben Myers was the running back for the Saints that time. He was the running back. But like I said, I watched him at the pinnacle of his career, Lawrence Taylor. There's not going to be anyone like him again because there was a period from I would say from 81 to 90 where he was just a difference maker. He was everything, anything and everything that you read about him and heard about him was probably true. I had a friend that was a ball boy back in '86, and he told me, there were stories about Lawrence Taylor hitting golf balls from one end zone out of MetLife, not MetLife, it would be the Meadowlands, and then how he would throw footballs, into the upper deck from the field. Legendary stuff. And we're not talking about stuff off the field, but we're just talking that it's just crazy. And people forget in 81, they didn't count sacks. That wasn't official statistics till 82. So technically LT had 9.5 more sacks than 132.5 sacks he had. 9 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 33 forced fumbles, 11 fumble recoveries. He was an impact player that revolutionized the Giants and revolutionized the linebacking corps. So let's just stop comparing people to Lawrence Taylor. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue. We're bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you can like and subscribe, ring that bell, you know what it means. That'd be awesome.